Josh Kolsrud joins us now. Josh.
Good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice
Anything going on in the legal world
Yeah,
today?
what's happening?
Oh, yeah. Big Supreme Court case today.
Okay.
We have oral arguments in the Birthright citizenship case. This is a blockbuster case, one of the biggest cases on the docket, and it'll determine the issue about who becomes a citizen once they're born here. Now, you have the traditional view of the court that says that, geographically, if you are born in the United States, you are a citizen. And then you have the Trump administration's version, which is it's the legal argument is called the law of blood. That is, it's based on what your parents' intention was. So if your parents' intention was to legally domicile or stay in the United States, then that would create citizenship for the child born in the United States.
Right. Okay. We have live pictures, Brian, if you want to help me punch those up on Edge 2. Still a decent-sized crowd. It has most part kind of filtered away now. But, boy, we saw them by the hundreds out there on the steps of the Supreme Court. That would be Edge 2. And so, let's talk a little bit about it, Josh, because the president, I believe the first time in American history,
Sitting president,
goes there.
Yep.
And, he already called them out to their faces.
Yep.
25 feet away when he's doing the State of the Union. Why do you think he did this today?
Well, it's certainly to make a statement, for sure. So everybody's talking about how President Trump obviously was the first sitting president to attend oral arguments at the Supreme Court. And obviously, this is a huge issue for the Trump administration. It was a huge part of his campaign. It was a huge promise. In fact, on day one of his presidency, he issued an executive order ordering all immigration agencies to interpret an old case, Kim from 1898, that if somebody is born in the United States and they're not naturalized or lawful permanent residents, that the child is not a citizen of the United States. That was immediately appealed and by various different states, and so today is the culmination of all of that from day one of his first day of his second term.
It's interesting too. You not only have the president there, but I was watching or listening, I guess you can listen to it on YouTube, what was going on in the courtroom, and you had someone from the ACLU there.
Yep.
Who all is allowed to be in there? Is it anybody who either side wants to bring in?
Well, if you're talking about argument, today you have just one attorney. Her name is Miss Wong, and she is representing the plaintiffs. And then you also have the Solicitor General of the United States, who represents the interests of the Trump administration. Now, today's proceedings, today's arguments were very interesting because a lot of times when you listen to the questions that the justices asked, you can kind of get a feel for how they're going to vote.
Yes, you can.
I don't think this is looking good for the Trump administration at all.
Yeah.
You only had really two justices that were asking friendly questions, softball questions to the Solicitor General, and that was Justice Alito and Justice Thomas. Both Trump appointees, Neil Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, and all three, and Amy Coney Barrett, were all asking very skeptical questions about the legality of the executive order, saying, look, we're not even going to get to the constitutional issue here. We don't even think you have the authority to issue an executive order defining what the law is, because we think the law is already clearly defined. So you're exceeding your mandate by trying to change the law through this way. Now, had he gone through a different way to do this, although it would have taken longer to get to the Supreme Court, they may have had to actually answer the issue. Now, of course, you also have the three liberal justices who are definitely going to be voting against the Trump administration in this case.
Okay, so I just want to pop up our poll question again because a lot of people are jumping on. And I think people look at it and think, well, maybe this is the basic question. But like you're saying, it could also simply be coming down to whether or not you can, as an executive order, can you go that far? Maybe they decide on, from that standpoint. But when we have 83% of people, Josh, who are saying this was not what was specifically intended in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, is that a correct argument?
Well, it is certainly the argument that the Trump administration is presenting to the Supreme Court. Now, if you read the 14th Amendment, it says that anybody born within the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, which is the key clause, are citizens of the United States and the states in which they reside in. So it's written at first very broad. All people born in the United States, are citizens.
What does it mean, and subject to the jurisdiction?
That means subject to a foreign power. So let's say that includes diplomats. At the time, it included Native Americans, but in 1922, there was an amendment, a law that was passed by Congress that actually made Native Americans citizens, and other people like royalty, if they had children here, and foreign troops. Those were the three things that were specifically delineated out that said those do not apply. Now, the Trump administration is trying to say, well, if you're here illegally or without status, and I say illegally because that's the statutory term, it means that you still have some type of loyalty to another country. So, for example, like Justice Alito said today, what if you're visiting the country and you're an Iranian soldier and you're here on a tourist visa or even here illegally, and you get called back to join the Iranian troops, like, are you subject to the United States and the jurisdiction here if you have a baby here? So there are some kind of extreme, absurd results on both sides of the equation. Now, what's really interesting is that the Supreme Court doesn't want to upset the status quo if over 100 years the United States has been really relying on one interpretation.
Right.
So even if they kind of agree on paper that the Trump administration has a decent point, I don't think that's going to be enough for the most of the justices to vote in his favor.
And I think that is the difficult thing is that is their job, to look at the Constitution and interpret what our founding leaders meant when it was created, right?
It is. And there's two different viewpoints about that exact thought process. So you have the conservatives generally who say that you have to look at what the founders thought at the time that the Constitution was written. So the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1866. So it wasn't part of the original Constitution, but right after the Civil War, they wanted to address the case of Dred Scott, which made it so slaves could not become citizens. So the 14th Amendment was actually enacted to allow slaves to become citizens of the United States. Now you have also like a progressive view of the Constitution that says it's a living document, and that you can't just look towards what the founding fathers thought at the time of the enactment, that you have to apply practical necessities of how society changes because of technology and other things, and apply a more modern view of what the founders would have thought had they been alive today.
Okay, and so, gosh, we have, almost no time left. But if you look at it and somebody is here like on vacation and they have a baby here, they don't automatically, that baby doesn't become a U.S. citizen,
Under
right?
the current law, yes, that person does. And
even if they're just here to go to Disneyland,
it happens
for a couple
all
of
the
weeks,
time.
and they become American citizens.
Oh, yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the issues is that, no other country in the world allows this type of attainment of citizenship. But I'll tell you, practically speaking, what we don't want is two classes of citizens. There's illegal aliens, again, I use that word because that's the statutory word. They're going to be here regardless or not. And if you don't allow some type of compromise, you're going to have some type of European system, caste system, of two different types of citizens.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. Whew. All
Josh,
right.
we could sit here with you all hour.
Yeah, come back in June when they make the announcement, Josh.
Love to.
Okay.
Good to see you, Josh.
Good to see you
Have a
guys.
good day.